Welcome to the Know, I'm Ashley, and we got some rumors about one of gaming's biggest titles this morning, courtesy of website Comic Book Galaxy, which claims that an anonymous source sent them a tip about the next game from CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, if you're getting an email from an anonymous source, it can be a little bit touchy, so take this one with a grain of salt for now, but the rumor suggests that Cyberpunk 2077 is 4 times bigger than The Witcher 3, including its DLCs, which is a pretty huge thing to suggest, as The Witcher 3 is an enormous game that can easily cost you over 100 very enjoyable hours. The claim does match some other things that have been said by CD Projekt Red in the past. Last year, they called it magnitudes bigger than Witcher 3 on every front. It could mean it's wishful thinking by someone making things up. Either way, well, we want it to be true, and, well, isn't that good enough on the internet? One of the Nintendo Switch smartphone app's most baffling features when it launched back in July was its inability to keep you connected to voice chat when the phone went into sleep mode or when you launched another app, meaning you couldn't, use your phone while you were using your phone. Fortunately, it looks like Nintendo has finally updated the app's functionality. The most recent 1.10 patch now gives users the ability to chat while other apps are open, as long as those apps don't also use the microphone, as well as the ability to use it when the phone is in sleep mode, that is, the screen's off, unless you've got some power saving features turned on. So, congrats Nintendo, your voice chat has now risen to the bare minimum that people expect from smartphone apps. They can only get better from here, right? I would still like an integrated headset, I'm just saying. We know that Switch has been a haven for indie titles since its release in March, but up until now we haven't had any idea how those titles were actually selling. It's easy to put something on a platform, not necessarily push units. According to a recent report by Gamasutra, however, some studios are seeing way more success on the Switch than any other platform. In the case of the remastered Wonder Boy, Lizard Cube sold more copies of the Switch version than every single other platform combined, and in the case of Mixed Bag's Format 8, they claim they've made way more money on the Switch version than they did on iOS. In addition to that, Oceanhorn developer FDG Entertainment also chimed in, saying that Oceanhorn sold more on Switch than all other consoles combined. That's a pretty good start so far. Bring on more Nindies! Stardew. I will let this go once they announce a date for it. Destiny 2 is only a week old. It's already had a couple controversies in its short lifespan. Bungie got out ahead of a new one yesterday when they announced they were patching out a pair of gauntlets that bore a coincidental resemblance to the Kekistan Flag, which is associated with some controversial corners of the internet. Bungie said of the removal, "Our deepest apologies. This does not represent our values, and we are working quickly to correct this. We renounce hate in all forms." The gauntlets themselves are still in the game. The design has been changed in the worldview. The icon and preview versions will be updated in a hotfix next week. No one knows how it ended up in the game in the first place, but can you imagine being a developer or something and suddenly these gauntlets drop and you go, wait a minute, I've seen that before, but it came as a huge surprise? That's what I'm picturing. Hot off the heels of the news that Destiny 2 was down 58% in physical sales from Destiny 1's physical sales in the UK, we have some indications that may be the case in other territories as well. Some stats from Japan's first week of sales have appeared on NeoGAF, showing an apparent drop down to 50,000 copies for Destiny 2 from 150,000 copies for Destiny 1. Just like the last figures, these don't include digital sales, but that might not work out too well in the game's favor either, at least for Japan. Latest stats from the region indicate that physical game sales were actually up more than 80% for the month of August, so lots of people still buying physical products there. If you thought you were going to have to pay a lot to a scalper for an SNES Classic, well, first of all, if you are in North America, Reggie Fils-Aimé has said, don't do that, we're going to make plenty. We'll see about this one, but even so, you'd have nothing on the people who live in Brazil. The retro console is retailing for, about $320 equivalent there, which is quite a bit more than the $80 it's retailing for here in the States. That's if, of course, you can find a copy. This is due primarily to import taxes in Brazil. As one Brazilian Redditor noted, the PlayStation 4 cost around $1,800 there when it launched. So, think about that when we complain about prices. Not to say that we can't complain about prices, we totally can, but there are other people getting boned even worse. So maybe it's a comfort of some kind, or not. The World of Warcraft charity pet is getting released early this year, and it's adorable! Blizzard says that due to all the natural disasters around the world, they decided not to wait until BlizzCon to unveil it like they usually do. In a post on World of Warcraft's website, Blizzard wrote, "The immediacy of the events, including hurricanes Harvey and Irma, flooding in South Asia, and countless other crises, have shown we need to act now." Yeah, not to mention half of the West Coast is on fire, apparently. The pet is a big-eared purple fox named Shadow, and all of the $10 adoption fee will be donated to the American Red Cross and its International Disaster Relief Fund. Thanks, Blizzard. After news that Lucasfilm made a directorial change for Star Wars Episode 9, we are now getting word that the movie's release date is getting rolled back too. The movie was expected to release in May of 2019, but now it's been pushed back a little bit to December 20th. That's no doubt to give new director J.J. Abrams a little bit more time after it was recently announced that he's taking over from Colin Trevorrow, who parted ways with Lucasfilm last week over creative differences. Abrams will write Episode 9 along with Chris Terrio, who wrote Justice League and Batman v Superman, so hold your breath, everyone. Word is, given the turnover, the movie will be getting a pretty major rewrite. Either way, December actually does fit in with the trilogy releases. You know, we had December, we're having December again. It makes sense to have it in December. Just make this your thing. Come on. The iPhone X raised some eyebrows yesterday with its $1,000 price tag, but one analyst says it's still gonna sell like crazy. And really no surprise. Ian Fogg, the senior director for IHS, says that the phone's technology could also start a new era of augmented reality businesses. Overall, he said the new iPhone models, which also include the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, represent the biggest step forward in iPhone design since the iPhone's debut. Speaking of iPhone, how long do you keep your smartphone? 2 years, 3, maybe skip one of the models and then upgrade, you know, every couple, because let's face it, they're expensive and you want to get the most out of it, right? Well, Apple said in court recently that the iPhone is guaranteed to last 1 year. That's the guarantee. The lawsuit involves a class action over tens of thousands of iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Pluses that failed prematurely due to the dreaded touch disease. Plaintiffs are arguing that consumers should reasonably expect their phones to work for at least 2 years, considering that's how long cell phone service contracts are for. At least, again, here in the US, it does differ internationally. But Apple argues that it shouldn't have to pay squat since the plaintiff's phones broke more than a year after purchase, which is when its warranty expires. Interestingly, though, outside of court, Apple says in its environmental reports that the average iPhone is used for 3 years, which seems a little bit more reasonable, economical, sensible, but yeah, officially, Apple wants you to replace that iPhone every single year. That's a lot of money. Some sad news in the world of gaming parody accounts. The fake Kaz Hirai Twitter account announced that it's retiring as of next year. Come on, we had so much fun with ya, fake Kaz! In a tweet, whoever is behind the account dedicated to goofing on Sony's CEO said they started the account 6 years ago to make jokes about video game news. Since then, the account has amassed more than 100,000 followers, including president of Sony Worldwide Studios Shuhei Yoshida. He says, "I'm still kind of shocked with how well this has gone and how long it has lasted," fake Kaz wrote, but lately the account says it hasn't been following gaming news as much, and thus, it's time to call it quits. As fake Kaz wrote, "Turns out there are a finite number of ways you can say nobody wants a Vita." Or, "The Last Guardian in Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts has been delayed." The account is going to end sometime next year, after E3, of course. So, hey, planning ahead. That's the news we have for this roundup. Let us know what you think of all these stories in the comments down below to make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every day, like this video. If you are new here, subscribe to The Know. We do this kind of thing a lot.
That was a long roundup.
We did it.
Still kept it under 10 minutes.
Whoa, I need to slow down talking. Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
On the prompter, 9 minutes, 50 seconds.
That is, I should slow down then. That seems like my problem. Motor mouth.